Good evening and welcome to this video. The topic of this particular video is that there have been 215 bodies found behind a jailhouse structure in Jackson, Mississippi. Um, and this needs to be viral. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, but I decided to do this video to bring awareness because for 215 bodies to accumulate and to be accumulated in shallow graves behind a jailhouse of all places, that had to happen over a period of time for this information just to come out. From what we know, there have currently been no indictments. There has been no evidence or information of any arrests where people have been cuffed up or questioned on any particular individuals or groups. And up until now, there has been no federal investigations on this hideous situation of 215 bodies being found in shallow, unmarked graves behind a Jackson, Mississippi jailhouse.
An unsettling situation in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, to be exact. It's been revealed 215 bodies were buried in unmarked graves behind a state jail in Jackson, of course. Attorney Ben Crump is now calling for an investigation. Families of the dead reportedly had no idea until last month. Some of them, those grave sites were only labeled by a number and a metal rod. Joining us.
So, a number and a metal rod and 215 bodies. So, where did the family and friends of these people that are deceased, what have they been told? What have they been thinking? It assumes, I assume that they probably have been told that they were missing. Um, this is unbelievable to me. I'm just really not certain on how to really process this because it seems like it should be something that's in a movie, not in real life.
Us to talk about it, activist Arthur Silky Slim Reed, who also works with Ben Crump.
So, Arthur, this started with Dexter Wade's case back in March, right? He was an individual who was hit by a police officer, and his family thought he was simply missing, but he was dead and buried, and no one notified them.
Well, the thing about it is that he had identification on him, Isaiah.
Okay, so this young man was hit by a police officer. He had ID on him, and his family was told that he was missing, when in fact, it seems allegedly that he was murdered. Or whether it was an accidental situation of him hitting this young man with his car. I always tend to think that there's a lot more backstory than what the media tells us. However, we can pretty much go off of the information and have to go off of the information provided to us at that time to draw our own conclusions and opinions. But just the way that it was explained is amazing to me, how little life is regarded and valued to where this young man didn't even get a proper burial and his family wasn't told the truth nor given an opportunity to put closure on this situation and to say a proper goodbye to their loved ones.
And the medical examiner gave it to the lead detective who said he called, didn't get an answer, and they didn't worry about doing anything else.
So, by law, they're supposed to contact the families of the deceased individuals. So, because this officer called or said that he called once and did not receive an answer, that his due diligence was satisfied and he moved on. Man, people with this kind of lack of value of life, lack of soul, um, it makes this world a scary place to live in, to grow families in, to rear children in. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. But there are people out here like that, and we have to come to that realization.
What we're finding, Isaiah, is that Mississippi is Mississippi. It's an ugly Mississippi. And this is sad because now we have 6 other individuals that has been put into the same grave. And if you look at the video from when we first went to that site, buzzards were flying overhead. And we were trying to figure out why are the buzzards flying overhead? But it's because they're putting them in shallow graves, and the only thing that they're putting them in is a body bag without embalming the bodies. So the stench from the bodies are drawing buzzards there. It's so inhumane for anybody to do anyone like that, Isaiah, is just horrible is what we can say. And that's not even a word that we should use in a situation like this. It's something that we haven't seen.
So the stench and the smell and the decomposition of these bodies have been so pronounced that there are buzzards that have been drawn to the area because no one bothered to dig a proper burial grave site or deep enough for these people, these that were once alive, to be respected enough to provide them with a proper burial. So now they're carcasses and they're buzzard food, basically. They're in body bags. And I don't know even know if they've had a toe tag, but I think here they mentioned that they had numbers. Either way, this is unbelievable to me. And for this to have gone on for so long unaddressed and unrecognized is just, it's baffling.
And what we're seeing here is over 200 people in this, what they consider a pauper's grave behind the county jail there. And what you guys are learning in your investigation is many of these families were never called, were never notified. Many of them still think their family members or thought their family members were simply missing, but they were dead and buried and never got a call from any investigators, any law enforcement officials or authorities in Jackson, Mississippi.
The lack of humanity in the society that we live in is astounding. I guess it doesn't, if it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't really matter. It seems to be the attitude of people that are aware of this graveyard behind the jailhouse, where bodies are just dumped and families are just left to grieve with no information, no closure, no recourse of how to deal with the situation of losing loved ones. And so they're left to assume that they're just missing. That's crazy to me.
That's right. And one of the things that we faced being Mississippi is that they thought that we were playing the race card. We have white clients as well. There were white people that were buried the same way, Isaiah. And any human being that's buried the way that they're burying these individuals, it says a lot about the people that's doing this criminal act. And the only thing that we're asking, because people always look at us when we're out fighting for civil rights of individuals, the only thing that we're asking in this case, we want you to do the right thing and give them a humane burial.
I have a question or a statement of pushback. These people actually deserve a lot more than just a proper burial. There needs to be a federal investigation. There needs to be accountability. And no one should stop until there are answers and that there are people that are held accountable for these crimes. This is criminal, in my opinion. Fair use. Fair use. I just can't understand how, I don't know this gentleman, but he's saying that the only thing that they're asking for is that these people get a proper burial. Well, where did these bodies come from? How did they get to that state? Who put them there? Why are they deceased? And how come nobody knows about it until Dexter Wade? Um, the story of him getting hit by an officer and his family being told that he was just missing for an extended amount of time. There has to be a lot more done than just someone getting a proper burial. Most of those bodies are probably carcasses anyway. If you have buzzards flying overhead and God knows what other type of wildlife that probably has feasted off of these bodies over a period of time, not to mention the natural environment to help decompose these bodies. And this gentleman says that they had to take, the bodies were so bad that in a lot of cases they had to take the word for who these people actually were because the bodies were unidentifiable. This is hideous, in my opinion, and justice needs to be served. And every single solitary person that was put back there and disregarded and discarded as if they were garbage.
And the city is, so it's crazy, Isaiah, to see something like that. It's 2023. It's not 1940.
Look at that terrain.
But to see them just dumping bodies in a grave like that, and no name, just a number. So they'll say, well, number 13, that's Arthur Reed. Number 21 is Isaiah Carey. But we don't really know until we get the remains. And then the remains had decomposed so bad, we just have to take them at their word. And when you look at the story, they told us that they would exhume this body at 12 noon, but they ended up taking this young man, Dexter Wade, out of the ground at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. They say, we were not going to allow them to embarrass us with those cameras. If you're not embarrassed.
Okay, so not only do you have to take the word, but the people's word that they asked you to take didn't even hold up their end of the bargain when they gave you one time and then they turned around and did it when they wanted to serve their purpose because they didn't want the exposure with the media and cameras. Make it make sense. Why would I believe anything that you have to say, trust anything that you have to say when nobody even has answers as to how those bodies got back there in the first place? How long they've been there? How many people knew? Who knew? This is crazy. I'm not going to play any more of the video. I think enough has been said, but if you can bring awareness to this situation and in our own indirect way, support by sharing the live stream, the video, sharing the information to prompt people to become a little more or a lot more active and outraged, so a federal investigation can actually be launched. He did mention that Ben Crump was calling for a federal investigation. He was representing several of the families of some of the victims that were found in these unmarked graves. So while we are out here talking about entertainers and Hollywood and things at the end of the day that don't matter. These types of situations are occurring, and there's no justice being served because of lack of awareness and accountability. So, with that being said, thank you for joining. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. And until the next stream, take care. Hit the like, share, and sub up button if you haven't already. Peace.